start this thing. Yeah, you know, it's this bike is very good handling, and I think it has a lot to do with the way Yamaha designed it. It just doesn't get enough credit. Riding in the twisties, this thing is almost as nimble as my V-Strom 650. The V-Strom had plenty of torque. You know, it's not really wanting for more, but this thing has got double, 3 times the torque, and it feels like it. It's like 100-something pounds of torque in a very small body. You know, like the physical dimensions are not too different from the V-Strom. And I think a lot of people kind of shy away from it because I think it looks big. You know, it looks big in the showroom floors, but when you look at the V-Strom 650, that looks big. You know, these are very large bikes. The adventure bike segment, they look big. I think only now is that they're slimming things down. You know, I think a lot of the adventure bikes get a bad rep from guys who ride sport bikes, but adventure bikes in a way are the better type of bikes as far as safety, just because they have such good visibility, and they're, in a way, if you skip the BMWs and Ducatis, they're very simple and they're very easy to maintain. They usually have traction control, ABS, and they're fast enough to keep up with most bikes. But I think the reason they're really safe is the suspension. The suspension is a little bit cushier and it absorbs a lot more of the potholes, so you can go through a road that's kind of rough and do much better than a sport bike. I rode with this guy and I think he was riding like a Ducati Panigale. Suspension of these bikes is so much better than a sport bike, and powering through a corner that's got some ripples and stuff, that is part of real world riding. And I think sport bikes, unless you're an extremely good rider, you're not going to be able to go through those corners extremely well. So if you're going to be riding mostly in the street, you're actually faster on an adventure bike than a sport bike, but you're also faster on a 600cc sport bike than in a 1000. Yeah, when I rode with the guy with the Panigale, he was really good at, like, if the roads are completely manicured and completely smooth, then he could be riding faster, but most of the time he struggled whenever the roads became slightly bumpy. And that's the issue with a lot of sport bikes. Their suspension is meant for riding hard on a track. And in the real world, where most of these guys ride, it's one thing I see is that they're just not used to riding over bumpy terrain. And even if you have a sport bike and you're riding in less than perfect terrain, one of the things you can do is just kind of let the bike go. You have to be very, you can't have like a death grip over your clip-ons or handlebars. You have to kind of let the bike squirm and move under you. And I think what happens a lot of times with sport bike riders when the road gets rough or they're riding in gravel is that they get scared and they tense up. But I equate riding in rough terrain as if you want to ride in sand or loose soil. You want the bike to kind of just do its thing, just kind of track. All you have to do is just power the bike with gas. All you have to do is just let the bike go and she'll correct everything. If you're wondering how I'm getting this God mode or third person film, it's using this. You see this bracket here? It's getting a little loose, or it just kind of moves, but it's pretty good. I'm gonna have to figure out why it's so bouncy sometimes, but I can adjust it up and down. So the view that you saw, it's pretty high up, but I'm going to bring it down a little bit. stuck here, the cops won't bother me.